our government is desecrating its role in society by entertaining sports. Our government is to protect and serve the people, and really should be as minimal as possible. And when you're doing all of this stuff, hosting sporting events, it's really outside of what the goal of the government was intended to be, because our tax dollars and resources are funding this operation. And like I said, I'm not criticizing the UFC, but the government should never be hosting sporting events, because there's more room for corruption, and we already have a corrupted government. And so that's my thoughts on it, is that the government is supposed to protect us, not entertain us.
Shalom. Kol halo Yahweh Ba'ashum Yahusha Ba'ashum Rekach Wadash. The bonds of the apostles, the bonds of the elders, I agree millstone who were well and taught me this truth. Much respect to you brothers out there, just preaching his word and truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of earth. The tabernacle of David is being risen up right before your very eyes. The hopeful elect and the speckled bird, to you I say shalom. Let's get into this quick lesson, right? Bread and circus, right? Give them bread and circus and they will not revolt, right? You had the UFC fighter talk about the bread and circus, the distractions, right? Because the men of the Lord are out there blowing the trumpet, let you know what time it is, right? Let you know what time it is, and the wise is actually taking heed, right? It's not to say you can't enjoy a nice basketball game, right? Because the Knicks just won. I ain't gonna lie, I watched it. I like my basketball, I like my football, I like my boxing, right? UFC, right? So on and so forth, right? But when you come into this truth, you learn about balance, right? These people in the world, they don't have balance. It's play, 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 right? Distractions all day, right? Let's get this right here, right? The phrase you are referring to, historically known as bread and circus, phenom, it's census, however you say that, right? I believe that's Latin, right? Is a timeless political concept originating for the first century Roman poet Juvenal, and describes how governments and those in power can pacify and restless populace by providing superficial distraction and basic necessities, right? The core concept, right? The food, basic economic relief designed to satisfy a population immediate base and survival needs, right? Circus, environmental spectacles, and mass diversions, Slovakia. In ancient Rome, these were chariot races, gladiator fights. Today, they manifest as endless digital content, streaming binges, and sports. You see that? And sports, right? And so you just had the UFC fight at the White House. The Knicks just won. And right now, you have the FIFA World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. Right, soccer going on right now to distract the people of the woes that are happening in their day-to-day life, right? Distractions that are happening in their day-to-day life, right? Right now they're trying to get rid of old cars. Ford and GM went up to the president the other day, talking about, how they want to ban you from working on your own car, right? For these new cars that are coming out, they want to ban you from working on your own cars, right? And they put it under the guidelines of security, right? Because these new cars have all these computer components within them, right? And which ultimately it leads up to, everything leads to the MOTB, right? The mark of the you know what. Everything leads to that, right? because you're going to have your universal basic income with that thing, right? Matter of fact, if you don't take that thing, all right, which, hey, the elect is not going to take it, you're going to be ostracized. You're going to be hunted down, right? They say they have no use for you for the new world that they have envisioned, right? Which is pretty much a jail cell for everybody, right? Literally, right? So go have your universal income, and they're trying to take away cars from you in general. So you just have public transportation, you know. That's what they want, you know. Ultimate surveillance, right? 24-hour surveillance, knowing what you're going, knowing where you're going, knowing what you're thinking, doing, you know. It's ultimate hell. That's what Esau Edom wants, right? So right now, to distract the people, they give them the bread and circus. Right now, you got this trend going on with the Kool-Aid and pineapples and apples, you know, putting infusing, you know, fruits with Kool-Aid, man. Come on, man. You know, just straight up madness, man. All right, why it works. The foundational idea behind the philosophy is a superficial appeasement when people are well fed and sufficiently entertained. You see, well fed and entertained. Ain't the U.S. is among the highest in obesity, right? You have all this entertainment as well. They are far less likely to question deeper political inequalities, systematic corruption, right? As I spoke about earlier, right? Matter of fact, also they want to see hip prisoners, right? Or institutional failures, you know, also with the EP files, you know. All of a sudden that just went away. That was scrubbed under the rug, right? All the wickedness that they have done behind the scenes, right? Comfort and distractions act as a highly effective tool for social control, right? And reads modern equivalents, while the original concept dates back to the Roman Empire. Many cultural commentators and historians view the phenomenon as a deeply relevant today. The mechanisms have shifted from Colosseum to modern technology, right? So let's go ahead and get some scriptures, right? This is Ecclesiastes 7 to verse 1. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. Why? Why is that? Right? A good name, right? It's better than ointment, right? If you know, in the ancient world, if you had a bad name, people wouldn't want to deal with you. People wouldn't want to deal with your business. You know, in the ancient world, you know, you had a child going off, or your daughter played the harlot. Back in the day, they would be put to death. You know, that would be putting evil out of Israel, because you didn't want that name, right? That bad reputation upon your name and your household, right? Also, the day of death, then the day of one's birth, because you in the spiritual realm, you at peace. You know, especially here in Babylon the Great, everything's polluted. You're in captivity. People running around but claiming that that they you, right? While doing all types of wickedness. You know, I did a lesson the other day. Hey, our people are still being sold into slavery to this very day, right? It is better to go to the house of mourning, right? That's the house that we're in, right? Scriptures speak of we're going to be comforted. The scriptures also speak of, hey, my servant shall eat and rejoice, right? And they and they shall not eat, right? They going to be shameful. They going to be starving. Their stomachs is going to be touching their backs, right? Then to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart, right? Sorrow is better than laughter, for by sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better, right? Because the wise is in that spirit, man. Matter of fact, it goes into it. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth, right? That party spirit, right? That willfully being ignorant, willfully being distracted, from the everyday life, right? The prophets, right? Which they call us the prophets of doom, which they were never liked. And you go into the scriptures, right? We telling you what time it is, right? We telling you what time it is. It's not going to be pretty. But on the other side, when our big brother Yahushua cracks that sky, oh man, it's going to be beautiful, right? Let's get into GNT, right? I like how I worded here. A good reputation is better than expensive perfume, and the day you die is better than the day you are born. Once again, spiritual realm at peace, right? It is better to go home where there is mourning than to one where there is a party, especially in these days, right? People dropping dead at the club, at the parties, right? There was a family get together, a family reunion, and the Edomite came through and started busting shots at them, man, right? Because the living should always remind themselves that death is waiting for us all. Sorrow is better than laughter. It may sadden your face, but check this, but it sharpens your understanding, right? Because your head is on a swivel. It's not to say that you can't have fun, right? It's about balance. But your head is on a swivel. You understand what time it is, right? Because these people ain't ready for what's to come. When Jacob's trouble pops off, when the MOTB is made mandatory, right? The people is not ready for it, right? Someone who is always thinking about happiness is a fool. Man, I can't wait to get that part. I can't wait to do, all that type of stuff, man. In the worldly aspect. Because us, we waiting for the kingdom, spiritual power, right desire, getting beamed up, those new bodies. That's what we thinking about. But we also thinking about Jacob's trouble, MOTB, making sure we making our calling election sure, making sure we ain't offending the Lord, making sure we ain't offending brothers, right? Staying on our P's and Q's, right? A wise person thinks about death, right? That's in the heart of, in the house of mourning, right? Let's get this right here, right? Fervent meaning in the KJV, right? It means boiling, zealous, or intensely passionate, right? You got to be passionate about this thing, right? When you're passionate about this thing, right, you're going to make your call and election sure. You're not going to play around. You're going to be in the house of mourning. You're going to do that which is pleasing to the eyes of the Lord. You're not going to be a foolish servant. You're not going to be a foolish virgin, right? You can read that, Slakia. You can read that in Matthew 25 about the foolish virgins, right? They didn't keep their candles lit, but they wanted to wait till the last moment. Nah, stay in your realm, man, right? Let's see. Emphasizing an eager, heartfelt approach to faith and prayer. So be fervent. Be fervent for the Lord. I'm going to get this one right here. Right? 1 Peter 4 and verse 8. Above all things, I have fervent charity among yourselves. Right? Emphasizing passionate, deep love. Right? Romans 12 and verse 11. I love this one right here. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. That's the type of spirit in which you're supposed to be. Not slothful in this business. Not being a unprofitable virgin. All right. Unprofitable servant unto Yahweh Shem Shah, right? Supposed to be fervent, man. On fire for this thing. right? Because it reads, right? Hey, remember what it says in the book of Revelation 3, right? I'd rather for you to be either hot or cold. If you lukewarm, I'm going to spill you out, right? Just like hot water, man. Hot water is good for the good for the body to drink. Cold water, right? It's good for the body, to it shocks the nervous system. It also, helps with healing your body, right? So, looking in that aspect, but lukewarm water, oh man, you spitting that out, man. Right? So the Lord rather for you to be hot. Right? If you're gonna be in this thing, be in the Johnny come lately, right? Just pack your bags, man. All right. Baruch 4 and verse 25. I'm gonna get these last ones. I'm gonna close out. Right. My children suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from power. From thy enemy have persecuted thee. But what? But surely thou shalt see his destruction, and thou shalt tread upon his neck, right? This is what comes with being in the house of mourning, right? This is what comes with being in the house of mourning, understanding the mission. Hey, it sucks, right? That this man is over us, man. But through our big brother Yahushua, right? Through the Heavenly Father and our big brother Yahushua, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, we have the victory. The victory is coming, right? My delicate ones have gone rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies. Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto power, for ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. You see, the Lord brought these things upon us, right? We're in captivity because the Lord brought these things upon us. Matter of fact, because we sinned against our power. I shall bear the indignation of the Lord, right? But Yahweh desire, we remain blameless in the eyes of the Lord. Verse 28, for as it was your mind to go astray from power, so being returned, seek him 10 times more, right? If it ever in your mind to go astray, do something wicked, which you need to rebuke those thoughts regardless. Rebuke yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Hey, seek the Lord. If you got to fast, you got to fast. You got to pray, you got to pray. Right? Pray without ceasing. Pray, fast. Do the work of the Lord. Talk to the brothers. Right? Seek the Lord 10 times more. Right? For he that brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy with salvation. Take of good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee the name will comfort thee. So that's part of being in the house of mourning. Eventually, you're going to be comforted. Eventually, you're going to have everlasting joy and salvation. And it's going to be beautiful, man. But, hey, bear the indignation of the Lord. Do the work of the Lord, man. Do what you got to do. Fast, pray, do the work, man. It really ain't hard when you boil it down. Hey, read about the scriptures, right? Go to Matthew 25, man. Read about being a unprofitable servant, an unwise virgin, man. You don't want that, man. So with that, Yahweh Razah is an edifying lesson.